what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Greetings to our loyal WFYL listeners around the world. Welcome to a special edition of the program in studio from Hollywood, California. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in once again, because you still have the right to hear and the right to be heard. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike G, and you're participating in Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters. And you can listen to our program every Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So let's be heard. Today we've got another grab bag episode of sorts. As you recall, last week, I interviewed a gentleman who I knew almost nothing about. This week, it's going to be a little bit more of the same. My guest today, Vince Ross, is an actor in Hollywood, California. I know almost nothing about him. He knows almost nothing about me, but I want to tell the story about how I met Vince. I was over at Naz's Cigar Lounge in Beverly Hills, California. It's a very popular and well-known place. Stumbled across it because I wanted a cigar, and it turns out this is a spot where Sylvester Stallone frequents, Arnold Schwarzenegger frequents, many other personalities in the Beverly Hills area. So I go in, I'm sitting down, and much like many other cigar shops, you're sitting in a circle, people are talking, having a good time, conversing with one another, and there's a gentleman sitting right to my left, almost right exactly where he is right now in the studio. And I'm looking at this gentleman, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy is somebody. I don't quite recognize him. I don't know who he is, what movie he's in, or if he's a musician, but he's somebody. Just got that it factor about him. And another thing I noticed, he's very polite and personable. He's talking to everybody. When he goes to leave, he gets up, looks me in the eye, shakes my hand. He doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. Gives the owner a hug, always smiling. Great energy about this gentleman. So when he leaves, I asked the guy next to me, I said, who is that? I know that guy's somebody. I don't quite recognize him. Forgive me. Who is that? He said, he's an actor. His name is Vince Ross. Interesting. So a couple of weeks later, I was heading up to the gym in Hollywood, which is not near Beverly Hills by any stretch of the imagination. And as I'm in my Uber ride over, I see a man walking across the street. And like that, I recognized who it was. It's Vince Ross. I didn't stop, say hi or anything like that, but I thought it was kind of interesting that I had just seen him in Beverly Hills a couple of weeks ago, see him walking across the street. He's got one of those instantly recognizable faces. And what do you know? About a week later, I was at Gold's Venice, completely different town. These are not close, ladies and gentlemen. You could check it out. You could look it up for yourself. Venice to Beverly Hills to Hollywood, California, very, very spread out, nowhere near each other. I was in the outdoor area working out. I come inside, and who's standing at the squat rack? Right at the squat rack, it's Vince Ross. So I walked on over to him. I had my hoodie pulled up. I had my hat on. I'm in my workout attire. And I said, hey, you Vince Ross? He starts looking around like, who's asking? Who's looking for me? He said, no, man. It's Mike from the cigar shop. It's nice to meet you again. Good to see you over here. We started talking. And I told him, I said, listen, for whatever reason, God wants us to meet one another because 3 times, 3 completely different locations. I don't know what's going to come of this, but there's some reason why we're meeting all these times. So we exchanged numbers. We kept in touch. I really don't know much else about him. He doesn't know much else about me, but I thought it would be wild to have him on the program, and all of our listeners can hear about him just as I'm hearing about him. So ladies and gentlemen, our special guest for today, Vince Ross. Vince, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Is that about right? Did I get everything right with the story about how I met you?
100% right. Accuracy, incredible. You were. I didn't just know that you saw me before, though.
You have a recognizable face, man. You see your face? Yeah. Because when we were sitting at the cigar shop, I thought I recognized you from somewhere, even though I didn't. You just got one of those faces. You see it, you don't forget it, and you don't look like an average Joe. You know, you could tell that you do something in entertainment for a living. Even if I didn't say, oh, that's Vince Ross from this movie or this television program, I knew this is not just a regular guy. This is not somebody who works a regular job. He's in the entertainment industry. Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, it's very fortunate. I try to, I mean, be myself as much as possible, but also, you know, fit the part. And you know, you got to take care of yourself, and inside and outside, and go back to what you were saying earlier, see each other like that, here and there in completely different places. I personally believe that is no coincidence in life.
Right.
It's none, especially like that. So yeah, I'm a great believer that God wants something to happen, and that's why we're here, you know.
Another thing that I thought set you apart, though, at the cigar shop is I could tell you did something in entertainment, but you weren't like big leaguing everybody. You weren't sort of being all Hollywood and want to be left alone or anything. You're very polite, very personable. You're shaking people's hands, looking at everybody in the eye. And I thought, this is a genuine sort of dude. I got to ask, what did you think when you're in Gold's Venice and some crazy looking guy walks up to you with a hoodie and a hat and knows your name and points it out to you? Did you think I was some kind of super fan, crazy stalker or something like that at first?
No. I just, you know, I'm very aware of my surrounding.
Okay.
When somebody show up like that, I'm always there. Like I did, like, who are you? Like, what's up? And I look around like I did, yeah. But I also grew up in LA, you know. I grew up here. I went to Fairfax High School. It didn't last long, but you got to be aware of your surrounding and, you know, what's going on. And somebody, you know, when somebody comes to you. But you were cool, you know, you had a good energy. You were not like, I read energy, you know. I don't care what a person looks like. I feel people's. I connect with their soul, you know. That's the way you get truthful. You see the truth of people. You don't see the surface. And you have a good soul, you know. I can tell you that you're serving God. I don't know much about you, but I think you do, and I can feel it that you're doing a good job.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
that. I feel that because I do that too. I work for God, and it's just, you know, straight up.
Yeah. It's easier said than done sometimes, though, right?
Yeah. That's the process. The process of first realizing and then applying. It's a process of two things, you know, that I realize myself, you know. Knowing what to do is great, but now you have to apply it. So it's the walk to walk and the talk to talk. So I try to convert the two and just really apply, you know, not being just one-sided, you know, and said, yeah, you should do this and you should do that, and not doing anything like that and be the, you know what I'm saying?
So you went to high school in Los Angeles. Where are you from originally?
Well, long story. My father,
we got time. We got nothing but time, brother.
Father, Brazilian father, a European mother. Yeah, that's basically it.
But you were in Brazil as a kid?
Yeah, I came Brazil. I was in France also. And then I ended here. I came here earlier. I came here, 2008 or 2009, I think.
And how old are you at that point?
I came here when I was 14.
Okay.
Yeah, 14.
And did you know English prior to coming here?
No.
So you know what, Portuguese and French?
Yeah, but like everything else, if you don't practice, you really do lose it, you know? I speak with my friend back home on WhatsApp, and I gotta think now.
It's Portuguese.
French too, yeah.
French too.
I gotta think about how to come up. Yeah, it's interesting. But also remember the time is changed. The time changed when it's the first time I dream in English.
Oh.
I remember that day.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Was it difficult learning as you go?
Yeah, it was.
They threw you right into school and you don't know English?
People said, you know, I've heard that, you know, English is easy. Nah, man, it wasn't for me. You know, if you do it properly, you know, I try to really absorb not only the language, but the culture, you know, American culture, the way people think, the way people behave, why people behave this way or that way. each country have a very different process of living. You know, it's very interesting.
What was Brazil like?
Well, it's, you know, third world country, so it's, you don't have much middle class. You know, it's rich and poor, and the government is, you know, whatever. But you know,
The powerful government?
yeah, a lot of corruption, unfortunately. You know, but I hope things get better. You know, I also feel like people are realizing that, you know, history repeats itself.
Sure.
And what we're doing doesn't work. You know, war and pointing the finger at each other, it doesn't work. You know, it doesn't. Like, I realize myself. You know, so I stopped putting the finger at people and blaming this person, that person for what happened to me. No, I realized, well, that's what it is, and deal with it. Stop blaming people for it, because you have your own story, and I'm sure it's not pretty like mine. So, you know, it's the year of enlightenment, you know, 2024. Why we say that? I guess is because if you add 2 to 4 is 8. That's what I believe. Why everybody said is the age of enlightenment. I guess.
Really?
That's what I came up with. I don't know if it's true.
Yeah, put it on a T-shirt, everybody.
But the 8, number 8, is related to the infinite side, you know,
Oh,
infinite
yeah.
side.
You put it on the side.
But yeah.
What was Brazil, when you were growing up in Brazil, were you in a dangerous area?
I was little. I moved from Brazil to France when I was 7.
So what was France like then?
It was very difficult in a sense where, you know, the environment what I was in. I didn't pay attention much of the environment where Brazil or France. I was so absorbed and preoccupied by the relationship of my parents, because, you know, when you're little kids, you absorb everything, you hear everything, you know, we see and understand things as much as we think they don't. Kids are very smart. So, and the relationship between them was, you know, chaotic, like, you know, fighting each other, and, you know, alcoholic. My mother was alcoholic, you know.
Wow.
Heavy drinker of wine and stuff. And my father was, you know, violent, was, you know, abusing her. So as a kid, what do you try to do? You just want to help your mother. So I tried to jump in it and take his focus from her to me as a little boy, because as much as I was little, I remember, I just, you know, be smart, you know what to do. So I tried to revert the attention of him to her, to me, and it worked, because I was pretty, you know, rough with him. I was talking him like dirty, and I knew how to trigger him. So, you know, and then, you grew up in a certain way, you know, with certain anger, and after that you gotta, you know, deal with it. And that's the issue that everybody has. You know, we preoccupied of money, power, and, you know, fame and all this thing, but you gotta adjust yourself. You gotta find who you are and what you are and what you're doing here. Why are we here? Why are we all doing here? Why we all suffer? It must have a reason. So I start digging in that too. And acting is another thing that I recommend to kids or to people that have issues like me. Or I was not a kid that would really talk to. You know, growing up, I was not talking too much. You know, even my girlfriend, they were like, "Why you never talk?" I was that guy. You know, it was just hard to, and I didn't like people ask me questions either. So it was really limited, the relationship with me. But acting it helped me to open up, to fight my fear in a sense of being more communicative with people, because I didn't have that. I was very aggressive. I was very brutal. You know,
Did you get in a lot of fights growing up?
Yeah, man.
Really?
Yeah, many fight. Like I you know, I surrender myself with you know, bad people. So I mean.
This is in France or in California?
Here.
California.
Yeah. I grew up here, and
Wow.
have homies from East LA, downtown. So, you know, but it forged a character, you know, because as much as, you know, we said I grew up with bad people, but I was part of them. So I was bad myself. So who is really bad? Because at the end of it, I came up with more understanding and respect of one another, you know, because when it goes down, everybody leave. But when you have people that stick with you and they watch you back, well, when it's their time to go down, what do? You watch their back, and that forges your character and give you a foundation of how to treat someone else, because not everybody is bad, you know. We all think the world is up, and no, it's the perception of it. It's how we see things. Another word, your limitation is your own understanding. If you have an understanding of great, if your understanding of great is limited, you don't really know what great means, that would be your definition of great. But now if you go in a dictionary and read the definition of great, those qualities that you need to acquire to be great are real. That's a meaning of be great. So now you differentiate things from what is real and what is a concept of your mind, because you heard something. So what I said, go to the foundation of things. And to heal ourselves, foundation is God. Like I pray, I ask God to take that anger away from me, because it was not even anger that I had; it was rage. You know, those saying that you heard about. The world is like full of wolf in cheap clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I came with the attitude, well, if everybody's wolf in cheap clothing, I'm gonna come up with be a werewolf.
Right.
And I came up that way, and it didn't work, you know. It didn't work because you don't fear anything and you don't care about anything. So what it leads you? Right in a wall, because we live in a world of structure, you know. We live in a world of order. As much as we see the word chaotic, and if you ask women, I've done that. I've gone around and asked women, what do you think about the world, the universe? It is chaos or order? And most likely women answer, they give the answer of a little bit of both. And if you ask a man, most of us said chaos. We don't see order. So
is it because we want order more than women do?
No, it's because women have more depth than we do. It's because they have... I speak about it because I tap into that. So I know what I'm talking about. So women have a different language. The feminine energy is not external of being this way or that way. The feminine energy is an inner sensation, feelings that is no word to it. Is an counterintuitive thing. And women communicate that way with each other. And that's the feminine energy.
That's why men think they don't make sense.
Yeah, because we also live in a world of polarity. Light and darkness, up and down, love and hate. So I'm asking you that question to you, Mike. How do you know where you're at in life?
That's a very...
By contrast.
Okay.
So you know where you're at by contrast.
Okay.
To know that contrast, you need to know those two poles, love and hate.
Okay.
Happiness and sadness. You need to embrace both of them. I realized that suffering is the interpretation of what we have of suffering. Because every suffering that I experience myself, now that I see it with a different point of view, it gives me strength in a sense of not be stronger, but have foundation of what is real and not what is not. Because when somebody have suffered a certain point of time in their life or whatever, if you have done suffer yourself, you can identify that to someone else.
Sure.
And you can help them and elevate them because you have overcome yours. And now is your time to help everybody else. And Yeah, acting opened a lot of door that I didn't have in woman. I had a great relationship, you know. I had a great woman that loved me. That's, you know, as we all know, is hard to do. Real love, and I felt it in me. And again, at first, I didn't know what it was, what love was, or how good it felt.
Is it because when you were younger, you had this one example
Man,
inside your home, and that's all you knew?
I had to break those false beliefs because you realize people behave the way they do because they went through something traumatic, most likely when they were young. And if you don't cover that and go over it and deal with it, that will hurt you and most likely destroy you. So,
I can't imagine what that must have felt like growing up.
well, it's
Abusive household and things like that, where you felt like you had to be the man of the house. How old are you when that's happening? Is that in France and California?
yeah, that was in France because they passed away after that.
Both your parents?
Yeah, that's why I ended here. Yeah, it's a crazy story. Yeah.
Both your parents
Yeah,
passed
yeah,
away
they
when you
passed.
were under 14 years
Yeah,
old?
that's why I came here. I ended here because yeah, it's a long story, but yeah,
That's horrible.
yeah, it's. But you know what? It was horrible in a sense of understanding what life and death is, because as much as I love my parents, you know, when you grow up in this environment, when they pass away, you know, I was a little boy still. I was sad, but it's a part of me I was relieved also.
Relieved.
Relieved.
Yeah.
I felt some sort of peace because I knew I was not gonna go through this again. And that feeling, oh, it hurts me all my life because I couldn't feel good about this. I couldn't, you know, but I really did feel that as a little boy. So I struggled with that feeling all my life to fight it, to not be happy,
Right.
because I believed that I was supposed to suffer. And that's what I say to people. Believe. Because if you believe something hard enough, you will become that thing. And I did that. I believe that I was destined to suffer. And that's why this is the life I had. I believe that. It was inside. I had to break them. And because I met great women, like I said, that love me, they opened some feelings and sensation that I never knew, like love, compassion, affection. I was totally ignorant of those sensations. And I know a lot of people out there are like the same. So I said, don't worry, just let it come, you know, don't reject anything, because otherwise you reflect half of life. If you take only good and you reject bad, you only experience half of life. Now, if you absorb bad that happened to you and understand why, and forgive the people that did that to you, how do you forgive? Because you realize they didn't know what they were doing. My father had no idea what he was doing. My mother either. They didn't know. They probably grew up the same I did. My father, that's why I came up with the conclusion. My father probably grew up that way. His father
And you
probably,
don't know? You don't?
no, because, you know, I didn't much have dialogue with them, you know, because, you know, as you know, when people are drunk, it's never them. It's always a character or somebody. I can say that I never knew really who my mom was. I never knew, but what I remember and felt is she was suffering a lot. As a little boy, I always remember that. That's why I forgave her, because she suffered, and because even her, she didn't know what she was doing or the way she was talking to me. She didn't know better. So when you don't know better, you cannot do better. So, you know, peace in the heart, you know, my father too, you know, I realized that life is a cycle. You know, when you heard about Nikola Tesla talking about 369, those numbers have cycles. I feel we have cycle of life that lasts 3 years, 6 years, and 9 years. I feel, and then 12 years and 250,000 years, like the sun. So when you understand that life is a cycle, you realize that life is not linear, but circular. It's a closed system. And that's what synchronicity is an indication of to see patterns. Because when you identify patterns, again, you see yourself by contrast.
But is that how you've been able to break that pattern in your instance?
Yeah.
Because you said, okay, Dad was like this, I presume, because that's what he learned.
Because
now that I recognize this, I can make sure that doesn't happen in my own life.
Yeah.
And if you never recognize that, then maybe you go down the same path and continue with the cycle.
You will. I think it's the whole purpose of us to correct ourselves. We come here with an ego, and I have explored my ego. And let me tell you, the ego is trouble. If you don't control your desires of your ego and find the counterbalance, well, you'll be slave to your ego and your desire, like we all have of, it can be as food, some people cannot stop eating. And sex and all these things, everything is temperance. You have to temper yourself. You cannot eradicate, because that's not real. When people said you got to get rid of your ego, it's impossible. Ego is a part of you. It's just that you have to realize that you have two nature inside you. So woman knows that very well. The 3 step forward and 2 step back within yourself constantly. We have that in ourselves too. I am a Gemini. So let me tell you, that back and forth in me, it's intense. It never stopped. So I had to find a way of understanding what is this back and forth within myself. And everyone else has that, And I came.
What's that mean? You're born in June?
Yeah, June. Yeah, June 4th. Yeah, June 4th.
I'm a day before you.
Yeah. All right.
That's something else. A weird coincidence, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's no coincidence.
No coincidence.
brother.
So you come over to the States. You don't know the language. Both of your parents are deceased at that point when you come over.
Yeah.
And so how do you end up in California? Why California? And who are you living with?
I came here with a friend. He was older than me, and that's why I came here. That's why I was able to enter here, because I was not old enough to travel by myself. But I came here with a friend of mine,
and this is from France?
Yeah. And he was way older than me, and it was kind of his thing, And I just wanted to go as far as I could. I wanted to run, But God said, you can run, but you cannot hide. So that's what I did. I ran. And I said, what's farthest from France? California, LA, that's pretty far. Let's go there.
Wow.
New thing, new everything. So, and he was fascinated about acting. He loved the actor, was Marlon Brando.
Oh, yeah.
He was a fan of him. And so I learned about him at the meantime. But me was just to get out of my state and where I was. I needed to run. So I said, let's go. And then we went, and it was the plan to stay here. It was a plan to stay here with me and then do the adventure together. But after 6 months, he said, I got to go back.
Oh,
so he left.
And this is the only adult figure you have in your entire life?
Yeah.
Did you have anybody back in France?
When you grow up and you don't have any father or male figure, you try to connect with people that you come across, I remember doing that. I remember doing encounter people, meeting people, and see that they have this quality. And I like the quality they had, like being polite or being useful or being whatever, whatever inner quality they had. And I said, I want that. And I took that from that person. And then this person had very strong willpower of doing things every day, no matter what. And I said, I like that. I'm going to take that from that. So I basically build my personality from people that I encounter. But the good thing is I always took the thread of character of people, the strongest one.
Throw away the bad ones. Just leave behind the bad ones.
I just felt that the hardest things were the most efficient, because when you do the hard thing first,
Okay.
everything else becomes easier as a task. And that's what I educate myself also. In life, every work I have, or every job I have, or everything I have to do, I always target the hardest thing to do. And then I go down that way. So everything else seems flawless. So it's a structure. So I encounter people that they were rough and tough with no much emotion of. So I grew up that way. I grew up very tough, very alpha male, like no mercy, no surrender, no prisoner. Like I was live or die. And I had some great girlfriend that they helped me also. I can tell you a real story that happened. How a woman helped me to deal with my issues. So this anger that I had, it was very imprinted in me. It was every day in my life. I was getting angry from 0 to 100 in no second. And then I was in a relationship this girl, great girl. It was my last relationship also. It was for lasted a while ago, for some of years. And she helped me with my anger in a way of I never thought about it. And she had a dog, and I am very loving with animals. I love animals so much. I put my life on the line for animals.
It's better than people sometimes.
No
Right?
joke. They are. And I just feel that with them. And so I fell in love with her dog. It was a little dog. I was always loved big dogs. I was, my preference. But I realized little dogs are cute too, and they were so sweet too. They're small. And I became very attached to that dog. And, for some reason, when he was around, I was watching myself more to not be angry, because every time I was getting angry, he was coming to me and lick me. And he was terrified. I see him. He felt my energy.
He's picking up on it.
Yeah. And I said, damn, that's not cool. That's fucked up. So I worked on that after years and years. And every time I was around him, even when I had an argument with my girlfriend and she was doing that with the dog, she was showing it. She's like, she knew how to not make me. I couldn't get upset around the dog.
So you felt like you had a reason, and you had to.
Yes, I felt like I had something in me I could grasp, something real, and that was the love for animals, because I didn't really have love for humans, to be honest. Growing up,
because
I was
of your
angry.
experience, your exposure, and everything like that.
I had men people, especially people that look like my father. I hated. I wanted to kill them.
People who looked like your father.
Hated it. Yeah.
Is
For
Brazilian
no
looking?
Yeah, dark skinned. My mother was more light, so I got more on the side of my mother. She was a pretty woman. My father was average, and
you got your mother's side genes.
Yeah. She gave me that.
You got the good-looking genes.
The sweet woman. And what I was saying that when I was getting angry, she was bringing me this the dog in a conversation. So when I was getting angry with someone that I was ready to beat up, like no joke, she came. She said, "Don't get angry. Remember the dog. His name was Leo. Leo doesn't like that. Leo doesn't like that."
What kind of dog was Leo?
It was a Pomeranian.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, a good-looking guy. Good dog too. It was so cute. And she was bringing him that when I was angry, and that helped me. I was looking at her, and I was snapping from my anger, and she was like, "Yeah, I love the dog. Yeah, he doesn't like that." And I was confused for a couple of seconds that my anger got converted of this other thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that fraction of second that took my anger away helped me, took the whole anger away, and I could walk away.
So you get over here and you're
Yeah.
a young teen. When this guy decides to go home
Yeah.
and says, I can't stay here anymore, I got to go back to France, you end up staying by yourself?
Yeah, yeah. I stay in a hostel that's called I forget the name. There was a ride on Fairfax and Melrose behind the Bank of America, if you know the area. So because I was going to Fairfax at the same time. So
High school.
yeah, I had to find
You're like 14 years old.
yeah.
And you're living by yourself.
But I always look also older.
Well, looking older is one thing, but your brain's still 14 years old. How do you manage
No,
that?
not really.
No.
Not really. I cannot say that because the environment that you grow up.
You had to grow up quick.
Yes, because I was seeing what's going on. You know, I was seeing the conflict. I was seeing the anger. I was seeing the confusion. It was no dialogue. It was like I had to figure it out. I had to, as a kid, as much I was not good at school, I had to understand things and feelings and sensation. It was something that I had to understand. And I grew up fast. I understood things faster. I was watching. I was very I observe a lot of people. Like another thing, if you guys out there, like, just watch, be quiet, silent, and watch. That will give you more understanding and wisdom than talking or think you can bring something. Silence is power, and I realized that also in myself, to be silent sometimes and be in the right place, be balanced.
It's a miracle that you're sitting here. Because let's talk about how this functionally works. You're, 14 years old. You don't know the language, right?
Oh, I did pick up pretty quick also. That's something I can say.
I know, but that's
I got
how much could you pick up in that kind of time? Well, let's put it this way: even if you picked it up pretty quick, it's not your first language, right?
Yeah, no.
So you're 14; it's not your first language. You have no adults in your life. You're staying at a hostel, and you're going to high school at the same time.
But
how does it work? How do you eat?
That's why I was at the hostel. Because nobody knew nothing, because I always learn in life to keep my mouth shut, don't talk about things, keep it quiet, and move in silence. I learned that at a very young age. So I was at the hostel. I make some friends at school too. Nobody knew nothing about anything. And I was not counting to go back to do what? I'm here, I stay here. So I became friends with people that work at the hostel. And I was doing security at night, three nights a week, from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. And that would pay my bed so I can sleep at the hostel for free, and extra money to buy food. And I was doing also the laundry. I was watching the sheet at the laundromat downstairs at the hostel. So I was making money like that. So like I said, I find my ways.
Were you always exhausted?
No, I never felt that way. I felt that I had energy and I can have even more. It's because it's do or die mentality. So when something traumatic happened to you, two things happen. You break or you don't. Most likely, when you break, you go back to the feminine energy, comfort, security. And that's what I believe some people become from the part of the LGBTQI community, because the trauma was so intense. Because I felt that too in myself. I felt the comfort of this energy of not the male energy of like, I'm going no matter what. Right. How many war? Doesn't matter. I will break them one by one. And I kept that because I think my anger gave me that power. So growing up and understanding my anger now, can I point my finger at my anger and said, yeah, anger is bad? Not really, because that anger saved me to break from people that lied to me, betrayed me, and all this that we all go through
You
every
needed
day.
that at that point in your life.
Do what? Sorry.
You needed that at that point in your life.
Yeah.
You used it as a tool, essentially.
Is what it is. Is what it is. Is a tool, and everything we've been giving in life, as dark as can seem sometimes, those are tools. And I also realize the best tools that you can receive is from the mom. The mom, she's the one give you the tools, because feminine energy, she has. I didn't get that from my mom, unfortunately, but I get that from the relationship I had with women. And I had bad relationship also, not all way, but I had great relationship. Like I said, a woman that really loved me, and I felt it, and it changed me. It changed me. It opened my other side, the feminine energy, the side of being so stubborn and never just realize that, well, life is not so, you don't have to be so rough and hard all the time, because you become also, when you're hard on yourself constantly, you become like that with people.
Yeah.
You subconsciously, you don't want to. But I realized that too. I was rough, and sometimes, was getting angry. I was seeing in her eyes, many of my girlfriends, they were terrified when I was getting angry. Some of them told me that. And I said, I got to do something for
You
that.
didn't like that.
No, I know. I always, because they were sweethearts.
Yeah.
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 They were just loving, sweet.
And it's not like you were going after them or anything like that. It's just they could tell.
Yeah.
Now, when you're in high school, you said it didn't last long.
Yeah.
What did you mean by that? How did high school not last long?
Again, when you grow up in a certain environment of violence and chaos, you become violence and chaos. And so you attract what you are. And that's a fact. Energy are like that. It's higher or lower. That's what we are. We are higher energy or lower energy. And I was lower in my energy because I was just, my angry had complete control of me. My anger, the rage, it was my core. I was nothing else than angry. People just, they just run from me. It just even people always just stay away somehow. But you meet people like you, that are going through terrible times, because we so many out there. Most everyone, we think our life is unique and we have a story. No, everybody had their own story. And sometimes, you know what?
Yours might be a little unique, by the way.
No, not really. Because I like I say, I met a lot of people. And since I realized we all go through crazy stuff. And sometimes it's not really physical. It's more emotional. Because as we know, emotional it affects us more than physical. For example, a word can really hurt someone else than really an action of doing whatever. Words are powerful. That's another thing I learned about, because I become believer of God because I had synchronicity of things that I have done in my life or almost did, bad things.
Bad things.
And if something else didn't happen, I would have done that thing, and it would have cost my life because it had cost my boy's life.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you get kicked out of high school? Is that how?
I stopped going in.
Just stopped going.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're on the street with your boys, like you said.
Yeah, I was just looking for trouble, and because you not really looking for trouble, but anything triggers you. So again, it's nothing outside of you. Again, it's within you. So, somebody is looking too much, that's staring at me too much.
Right. You don't like
I
it.
was flipping out. I was going straight up to them. What are you looking at? And so that's not life, And then, going to downtown LA, going on the front of the judge, 1 time, 2 time, and then the judge recognize you. It's like you again.
Yeah.
It's becomes shameful a little bit. I felt like, wow, when you have to wait, outside. I don't know. Yeah, the line is, to go to the judge, and get judged for whatever reason.
I might know a thing or two about court and judges.
The line is, the line outside is around the block. So
Yeah.
I have done that line for like many times, and it's like, what am I doing? Why am I could see myself outside of myself also. That's a good thing that I learned about acting also, to also put yourself in a third person, so you can really see the truth, the duality of things within yourself. And you realize also that you have the male and the female within you.
With certain female characteristics, I guess you would say.
No, not at all. We have again, it's because we have a misconception of the feminine energy. It's a different kind of feminine energy that we think it is. Most people think being feminine is in the attitude of behaving, but no, it's an understanding. It's a depth. Women have depth that I get that from them.
It's their way of thinking.
Yeah, they have a different approach. They have an accuracy to approach things that we don't really have because we're not aware of women as valuable they are for us.
It's interesting, though, because these last several years, you hear a lot of people in the mainstream saying, no, men and women are exactly the same. There's no difference. And if you say that there's any difference between them, then there's something wrong with you and you're being that's hateful and everything like that.
No, that's the whole point. We, men and women, have been created as opposites, perfect opposites.
It makes sense to me.
So they're completely different than us. Because what God said in the scripture, I created male and female to see themselves better. What does that mean? I searched that. What does that mean? And then you realize that the outside is the inside. The pressure outside of yourself is the same pressure that is within yourself. So you have to match those pressures. There's a lot of forces that we're not aware of because we lost the education of it. But the cause and effect of things are real. If you do evil, you will get evil. If you do good, you will get good. I have experienced that myself. The day I stopped doing bad and said, listen, I got to take the different path and I got help from him, I saw things. I saw things changing. It didn't change right away.
That's the thing, though, right? Because you say you do good and good things happen. It can be a constant challenge and struggle for people when they start to do it, like you were saying, right? And you're still down on your luck and you're like, what is going on? I feel like I'm being...
I tell you what's going on. Because again, your understanding is your own limitation. If you understand that what's happening to you is designed that way, now you approach things in different ways. You can see things that things were supposed to be against you, they are for you. And God created man and woman that way. So when you understand woman, you can have a higher understanding of yourself. And that's what I've been searching, I've been searching the truth like we all do. We want to know our purpose, why we're here, who is God, what is all this about. And I turned to Judaism. I become Jewish also. That's something I had the urge to do, because I went through scriptures of Catholicism and
Mm-hmm.
Buddhism and all this, all the religion that we call religion. And I couldn't find the answer that I was looking for.
Mm.
The access of something tangible, not just an idea of, all right, God is this and God is, no, something that you can, within yourself, that's a tangible to connect with Him. And in Judaism is a word that is called the equivalence of form. And that's a law that when you become in this equivalence of form, it's become the same than what God is. So when we heard about being perfect, yes, we can be perfect. We designed to be perfect. We are. Why? Because God is perfect. And we are an image of God. But perfection is not, again, an understanding of what we think a perfection is. Perfection, if you can compare to another word, I would say completion. Perfection is an equivalent
This
of
created in
completion.
His perfect image, right?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. When you were talking about your parents and how you ultimately understood that they didn't realize what they were doing, that reminds me a lot of Jesus on the cross, right? Father, forgive them because they know not what they do.
Yeah, yeah.
That reminded me of that a whole lot. And when you're talking about not seeing what you want the results to be right away, that just sounds a lot like faith. Isn't that
Yeah,
really
because I am a follower of Jesus Christ,
Mhm.
Mashiach, they call it in
this
Hebrew.
messianic Jew?
Yeah, I am a follower like you are too. I know you are too. Because when you turn yourself to God sincerely, and that's the best power you have, and that will connect with God, is being sincere. Be sincere, be truthful, because He sees everything. He knows everything. He knows your heart.
Mm.
You cannot just say something and feel something else and say, oh, I hope God didn't hear me. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
That's a childish way to think. And we need to get out of this. Also, when you change your life to be, bad in some ways and not try to fit, not the part I would say, but understanding our social economy, the social circle, the way we work and everything function. When you decide, things don't change, like you said, right away.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we live in a world of polarity, cause and effect. So whatever you have done in one side of it has to be compensated in the other side. And that's where karma comes in. So when I decide to change, it didn't come right away. I went through hell because I had to pay back. That's the way I become with the idea of dealing with it.
Do you think that's why so many people don't come back, though? Is because they get maybe one or two steps down the road and they say,
Because
you know what?
they don't see.
They
don't see
the
that
end.
between cause and effect is outcome. And whatever outcome you have done in your life, they have a mirroring of it. So it took, I had bad luck and went down for I was getting tickets, I was getting this, I was getting crazy stuff going on, and I was doing good. I was paying my stuff, I was doing things. I had occasion to do sneaky things. I didn't do it because I felt strongly that I was getting tested. I felt that because I always understood there was no coincidence. So sometimes when I needed money really bad, and it was something that come out or I could make bunch of money
Like an opportunity.
at the same time, to me was a red flag.
Right.
I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I know why that showed up. And later on, it ended up that I got some money in a different way, but that way came clean. If you really pay attention of life, and
But if you would have gone down that way, then you could be behind bars right now, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah. I was,
Was there any sort of like scared straight moment?
I've been truthful. I have been, I've been bound by, I've been arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been. So
Was there one moment that was like, you know what, this isn't for me. I got to turn it around.
that's what I did. Yeah, I felt that.
When
And
you were inside?
where, yeah.
Yeah.
It's because I got in a fight, physical fight, and that fight really changed everything because unfortunately in a fight, the guy I was fighting, the way I hit him or the way he fell, he went in a coma.
Mm.
His jaw got how you say it?
Dislocated.
Dislocated,
Yeah.
yeah. And he was in a coma for a few months. And that could have taken my life away, even if it was an accident.
Right.
Or even if I was just defending myself.
Right.
The law is the law. So fortunately, he didn't die. He woke up from the coma, and he had cameras and everything showed that he started, and I was just responding it. So
Yeah.
I got.
Those are the kinds of cases that we do all the time.
Yeah. I got. It was a camera from a corner of a bank, of a Chase Bank, that saved my life. If that camera was not there, yeah.
That's crazy.
It was his word against my words.
Right, yeah. No, we deal with those all the time.
He's in the hospital. I'm a little bigger. I have a history.
Yeah.
It goes that way. That's it. And you cannot blame the system because actions speak louder than word.
I guess that's true.
So I took everything that I've done. Every time I got arrested, every time I got put in jail, I took it like I deserved it. Now I look for it. I was looking for that. They do their job. I don't have any anger against cops or against the judge or the justice system. No. I personally put myself into this.
Accountability.
Absolutely. And that will elevate yourself also, because when you take accountability, you humble yourself.
Right.
It goes together. And when you humble yourself, you can really see people because you really put yourself voluntary in the bottom. Mm-hmm. And you can see everybody that's struggling, everybody that have the same story than you or worse than you.
Do you think accountability, or lack of accountability, I guess, is the result, the root of a lot of problems, whether it be something like being tied up in the criminal justice system or having addiction issues and stuff like that? Do you think people have a problem taking accountability?
They have a problem, yes. We all do, because we do not know how. It's just how to understand things. When you understand things, when you do better, you understand better, you do better. That's a fact. So for me, it was just go within yourself and find out what is my problem, because we all have problems. We all have issues. And I asked God, I remember I fell on my knees and I said, please, it's do or die. I don't know what to do anymore. I really did that. I really did that. And something got lifted a little bit. I understood that my anger was not something I should pray for to get rid of. No, I understood that I should pray to ask strength to overcome. So the best thing I can say to people is don't pray for things to go away. It's not the right way to pray. When you pray, you ask for strength. Because whatever God put in front of you is to help you. You don't see it because you don't have the understanding yet. But that will elevate you. And later on in life, because you went through this, or you went through that, or you lost your parents or whatever, you will meet someone that have been through this themselves, but they have so much struggle with it. But you don't, because you went over it. And what do? You jump in and you help them. I have done it.
You've met people who lost their parents?
I have met people that lost their mother or their father or both, or I had a girlfriend that been violated, attacked, and they had so much blockages. Obviously, after those things is a trauma, and I work on that. I work with her, and she get rid of that blockages, because she realized that, well, as bad things happen, well, it had a reason, and unfortunately, the reason is not always obvious, and most likely is not. But I can see why I went through what I went through, because today, everybody that I met going through some stuff.
Sure.
We're all in trouble. Like you talk about addiction. We walk in addictions. That's what we all have. We all try to run from addiction. It doesn't work. I had so many drug addictions, pills, all these things, but it didn't help. Pills, drugs, it's a bandage from a scar, a wound that you're having, and it's really bad. But you just put a bandage on it.
Right.
You don't treat it. Well, inevitably it's gonna get infected and you might be gonna die. Well, that's what we do today in 21st century, because we don't know how to access the depth of why we're here, who we are, where we're going. We don't have those answers. But I think some of us have been awakened, and I think you're one of us, or one of them, I would say, that become interested of the growth of humanity rather than ourselves. I'm not concerned of myself anymore. I'm concerned to the world, to everyone, because if you feel better, I feel better. It's the way it works. So if you make everybody, if you make the world better, you will have a better life. So I turned my attention toward me. And that's the ego. What the ego does. The ego is self-serving.
Sure.
It's always about me, me, me. Now you have another nature, the nature of God. His nature is giving, giving, giving. In the scripture, they call bestow. You bestow love on someone. And that's the power of God, bestowing on people. And you realize you have those two in yourself also. You have the giving and the taking. You have those two natures within yourself. But you know that taking doesn't work. And we all know that giving is better than taking, right? But again, between knowing something and put it to apply, it's a process. For example, when you come on the front of a mountain, you know what to do. You know what you're going to have to climb step by step. But you got to take the first step. And that's where most people fail, I would say. And the paradox of that, failing, you must fail. You must get hurt. You must. Because you will have a higher understanding of being betrayed. Like I have been lied to, I have been betrayed, I have been cheated on. It hurts me so much and it affects me so much, and I have a higher understanding of that now, that I will never cheat on a woman again. I will never lie to my best friend or do things that I have done before, because I learned from it.
Turned into a positive.
He took those people. I also lose those people,
Right, which may be a blessing.
Yeah, when you lose people and you realize those people are great people, they're gone. When you lose someone, you lose someone. People turn around and you betrayed them, you lie, you whatever you did. Can you blame them? No, but later on you realize like, I should have, but it was a lesson, because you will meet more people. You will encounter more problems. You would go through this and that. But now you have a higher understanding and you know why you're going through this and that. You realize it's not a burden. It's a test. So now you know that whatever God's put on the front of you, you can overcome it. That's a comfort. Knowing that whatever you go through in life, whatever it is, you will go over it. You will pass it. Because God will never confront you with something that you can never overcome. It's impossible.
So how do you ultimately end up getting into acting, did you have any other entertainment interests? Were you a musician or anything like that?
No, I really I met somebody that gave me I started doing modeling first,
Okay.
and I make a couple of hundred like that,
Uh-huh.
and I realized that was cool. That was easy. And I also realized like how people are nice they were, you know. They were nice. They would treat me nice. Uh, they were like, my God, like if I need water or anything, they were just very, very taken care of. It felt really good. I felt good. And I said, wow, I'm going to look through that. And then I did another job, and then I got hired for this with this agency, and then I went to New York for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I lived in New York for 2 years,
What part?
west of Central Park.
Okay, so you were in Manhattan.
Yes, and it was not my place though. An agency that I was working with, they have apartments.
They sent you over there. Wow.
So I was there for.
So you were working in New York for 2 years.
Yeah. I did modeling works in
Modeling.
New York stuff.
Wow.
That was fun. I love New York. I love New Yorkers.
It's too cold.
Yeah,
It's
is.
different than
It
Los
is.
Angeles.
But the energy and the city light, the light. I love New York. I love the energy. I love, and people are sharp and they quick. It's harder to make friends than make friends here because people are not talkative very much. They're really into their own life and things. But when you meet somebody and you really connect with them, they become very real people. More than people that sometimes you connect here in LA and I love you, blah, 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 and then you never heard from them or whatever else.
More genuine in New York. What you see is what you get.
Yes.
I grew up in New York, and
so
when I went out west, I noticed that.
I like that character. I think I pretend myself also to be like that, to be nice, but to be real, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I give you that, don't take that. I won't allow you. So that's where I forge my character. And then, you know, God has a big part in this because all the foundation I used to have, all the belief that I had. Like I said, I used to believe many things because I didn't know. But so belief is a dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell people more to be focused on hope and faith. Those two, hope and faith, are unbreakable, infinite. So
you're in New York, and then you come back to LA?
Yeah, come back to LA, shooting more stuff. Listen, I've been very fortunate, you know. I work with a lot of people, great people, and not so great. But at the end, it's all an experience, and I'm really happy. I enjoy everything that really happened, like from A to Z, because, like I said, he forged your character, you know, and your character is your destiny.
Did you ever end up fighting in an organized setting, like participating in any combat sports or anything? Mixed martial arts, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, anything like that?
That's another thing that was trouble, is because, you know, you hear also people tell you advices. They say, with your anger, because I tried therapy too, you know, and when I was, you know, I got help.
Therapy?
Yeah. Some people, you know, I met very nice people that really genuinely, I don't know, they saw something in me that was genuine, even if I was not, I don't know, and they helped me in certain ways.
Or at least tried to help you, it sounds like.
Yeah, they really did. I was closed off, so I denied it and I rejected. But many people really tried to help me, like, generously in life. And like I said, if you really see things the way they are and you change your perception, you see both sides of the quarter. You know, like a quarter, yes, two sides, but it's only one, but it has two sides. So you have to see both sides within yourself. It's the duality. When you connect those duality, like the ego, the self-serving ego and the will of God, you see the contrast between how far you are from God and how close you want to be. But like in physics, you know, a pendulum, if you throw a pendulum from this side, it will swing on the other side are the same height, right? So you see that is certain order that we cannot perceive. And I went also through quantum mechanics. I studied some physics also.
Really?
Yeah. Because I really wanted to understand the religious, spiritual side and the tangible, materialistic, physical, mathematical, because number govern the universe, basically.
Is that unusual for someone who didn't like high school enough to finish
I know.
start to get into high level stuff like that?
It happened.
Right?
It did happen 7-8 years ago.
Mm.
I start receiving those download and had to do certain thing. A strong feeling of doing it. Not even think about it, but doing it. Like convert to be Jewish now. Study the Torah, study the Zohar, the Talmud, all those. Judaism give you in Judaism is I will say if you look through it in some ways you can find a physics of the spiritual world that will make you understand how to access God. Have you heard about the tree of life?
From the Old Testament?
Yeah. From Judaism. In Judaism, they talk about the tree of life, and this tree of life is composed of 10 sephiroth. Those 10 sephiroth are the inner quality of God's, what God is made of, and when you understand those qualities, you can identify those qualities and realize that you have those qualities. The tree of life is composed of up and down. So the connection between heaven and hell is between the tree. If you can picture that in your head, because everything is in picture on your head.
Is that what's on your fingers?
Yeah, that's a representation of this old.
It's Hebrew.
Yes, it's the letter of God, the secret name of God. Yod, He, Vav, He, Yahweh in English. That was another thing that I had to do. And also back to those two nature that you have in you, those two nature will fuse and will become one within yourself. And that's what alchemy is. Alchemists, they talk about transformation, transmutation, and that's what happened within yourself. So alchemy was never about gold or silver changing in gold. It was an inner state. It appeared to be something external, but being an alchemist is when you connect those two within yourself, the male and female, when you take the will to receive, the receive ego, and when you elevate that ego, it's become bestowed on you, and then you use that power to help people, because you know how to help someone. At one point you can relate it to how people feel. Like if you have the struggle of your parents, or if you have been abused, I can sense those things. I can relate. I don't know, some energy that's exchanged.
Really?
Yeah, it's very interesting. The connection is deeper. That's why when I say, when you suffer or when you go through tough time and you understand that was for a reason, when you meet someone else that go to the same tough time, you can guide them.
Sure.
You can help them.
You seem like a very curious guy for someone who didn't finish high school. Like, was that always part of your nature to be that curious and
No.
So you didn't care about it at all.
I was the opposite.
You were the opposite.
I was the opposite that I am today. In literally in every aspect of my behaving, thinking. From I don't care and do or die, I become.
I don't think we ever got to the answer to the question, though. Have you ever fought in an organized setting? Like, have you ever done any combat
Yes,
sports?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah, back to that. Yes, I did. Like I was saying, growing up, I heard the people say, "Oh, you should do martial arts. It will help you with your anger."
Uh-huh.
No, he didn't.
Really?
He make it worse
Really?
because
Now you know what you're doing.
yeah, you're angry and you know how to fight.
Yeah.
So it was not a good.
You couldn't just keep it in the gym.
No, it was just because when you do martial arts and you start fighting, you gain certain confidence.
Sure.
So when you already have this confidence as being like do or die person, and you add that on the top of it, it's trouble because you know what you're doing, and you're dangerous. You
Yeah.
become even more dangerous because you fight anybody.
But that's why like the humility and the discipline aspects of the martial arts are so important. If you don't have those along with it, then it becomes very dangerous, right?
That's why I used to do martial arts and I got kicked out, but because my coach was telling me, he said you don't fight for the freedom or the fun of sports.
Right.
You want to kill the person. That's not the way to. That's not gonna help you. You know, like when I was fighting, even for fun, I didn't have the understanding of losing. For me, losing was not an option. And I grew up that way. This mentality of do or die, I was always had to, until I realized that losing is a lesson. It has the other side of it. When you don't do something or can't do something or been stopped, it has a meaning also. So I had to break all those things that I believe. And then I started doing other sports. I play hockey, ice hockey, yeah.
Wow.
Down on Washington and Venice. I was playing ice hockey. And then...
is that popular in California?
I don't know, really.
You think hockey, you think like, Canada or like one of the colder places.
You know what? The image I have of ice hockey is tough sports.
Right. Yeah, no, that's true.
Very violent sports.
Yeah.
So I think I choose that because, is the violence behind maybe subconsciously I was choose that sports. I don't really know, but I loved it and I become pretty good at it.
Really?
Yeah, it's fun. I still have my gear and my ice skate, everything. My ice skate is still sharp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I can go tomorrow if I want to. But I stopped doing that also, and then I did gym, left up weights, working out. That was something that I enjoy doing it because the pain, the understanding of the growth, of physical growth.
Right.
You have to hurt yourself to grow your muscle. You have to hurt your body to be more stronger and faster and whatever. So that's another reason why I realized that suffering and pain was not what everybody thinks it is. Because if you think in a different ways, like for example, to working out or fight or any sports, you really hurt yourself. But how better and stronger and more effective you become.
Sure.
You become, I have used my strength for things that it presented to me. Somebody needs something and it was really, for example, we're at the beach and then my ex-girlfriend, her car key fell underneath a huge rock. I had to move that rock.
Oh, wow.
And that was useful, So I thought it was not a coincidence, but it just may be me,
Yeah.
So
when did you start lifting?
6 years ago, 6 years ago.
And is it sort of part of the job because you got to be in shape when you're on camera and everything like that?
No, it was more like...
Were you modeling before you started lifting?
Yeah, I was lifting a little bit here and there, but not seriously. And then when I came into modeling, they told me, they said, you should... and I was seeing also other models, other guys and stuff, and friends, and they had nice bodies and stuff. It's like, I got to do this.
Yeah.
I want to look like them. And I started lifting, and then that led me to something else. I compete for men physique.
Really?
Yeah, NPC.
You did a bodybuilding competition?
Yeah.
No way.
In a stage with like a lot of guys. It was NPC men physique. It's not bodybuilding, but it's men physique.
Okay.
So it's a different category, but
Yeah.
it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
And I come into that. Interestingly, what led me to that, it's a friend that I met at the gym.
At Gold's?
No, it was a different gym.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he lost his arm.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he went to an accident, so he lost his arm. And he wanted to go back, he wanted to be in shape because he didn't look bad at all for a guy with a missing arm. And he wanted to compete, and he wanted to do men physique. And we became friends, and then we're training together and stuff. And he said, why don't you sign up with me? I will help me to get, motivation and stuff. And I said, well, competing, that's not something I never thought about. I'm not interested, and you have to look pretty fucking ripped, to compete. So at first I was not so hot. And something came to me and said, forget yourself. Don't do that for you. Do that for him. So I got this download and I said, all right, cool. So I signed up. He started writing food diet to lower your body fat.
Right.
So I'm starting following his.
How much time did you have before the competition?
We had 5 months.
Okay, so that's a decent amount of time.
Yeah. And so we train every day for 5 months like beast.
Mm-hmm.
Cardio in the morning, empty stomach, go home, eating, go back to the gym, lifting. Also, because he was training every exercise we were doing, he had to do it with one arm.
Right.
So to make it even, whatever he was doing with one arm, I was doing with one arm. So everything I was doing had to do with both arms.
One at a time.
And that gave me so much strength.
Really?
Yeah, you see? Interestingly, by training that way, one arm at a time, because I'm like, damn, how do you lift that much weight with one arm? He was doing deadlift and crazy stuff with one arm. And I said, I want to do that. So I started doing same thing. And it gave me so much strength because I start training everything like heavy with one arm, but not like nonsense training. You know what I'm saying? Like proper training, like where you do it the proper way. And we compete together, and I ended winning the show.
You won the
First
show.
place, yeah.
Man, I wish we could get a picture up on the screen of that. Do you have any pictures of that?
My friend win the 5th place.
Really?
Yes, I was very proud of him. He was very happy, and that was it. That was the end of it. That was I realized all this, the competing thing, that it was never for me. It was never, because I never thought about myself in the whole process. I didn't even plan to win, even to be qualified.
Yeah.
I was training hard to push him. But because of him, you see how it is?
Yeah.
It's, you give, and so if you give with sincerity, for some reason, that force come back to you and make you like, it was fantastic, because the guy that you compete with, they all look like you. They look phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
They look phenomenal. So when the guys come to you and said, hey, congratulations. One guy came and said, oh, when I saw you right away, I knew you're going to win.
Really?
Like, that's sweet, Like, so we're not all so bad, We're not all so bad, and also like ego tripping. It's good people out there, many good people.
Oh, yeah. That's the experience I've had.
Yeah. And I didn't expect that either. Because, when you go to the gym and you left, sometime I was training on tank top. So, you attract attention, and how guys are sometimes. They see a guy build it, they come next to it, they're like, they do their thing.
They want to have the competition right then and there.
Yes, that's right. So I always had some of that. And I let it go, because I understand the ego. But I was expecting that over there. I was telling myself, like, man, if at the gym guys behave like that, I can imagine 100 guys with no shirts in the room.
Okay.
What the ego they're gonna have.
Yeah.
I was totally wrong.
Yeah.
Everybody was nice. It was no ego trip. We had weights outside. We have some machine, to pump a little bit before you step on
Sure.
stage. Everybody work with everybody. Everybody share everything. It was like a lot of guys,
Yeah. Well, you're
And-
dealing with professionals. You
and
guys dealing with
yeah.
guys who've been there.
Everybody was disciplined. Everybody was nice. Everybody was polite. It was an amazing experience.
I don't see a whole lot of the ego thing at Gold's Venice or
Yeah.
anything like that. I don't see that. I see everybody's there to, most people are there to be
because I-
serious and kind of like you said.
I realized something, that when you compete or when you achieve certain goals, you don't have nothing to prove anymore, really.
Sure.
So I used to train in tank top and used to like to see my body when I was working out and stuff. After I compete, after that time, and still today, I wear a long shirt with hoodie. I completely convert myself. I don't have this need to prove anything of looking myself. I just know, and that's humbles me because you don't create that tension. Also, when you go to the gym, you don't create that tension. So people get more comfortable somehow. So I would say being good looking or having a good body takes some understanding and responsibility, that you cannot just walk in the room and say, hey, it's me.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
Discipline.
Even acting, every time I was walking in a room with a bunch of people waiting, I say, hi, what's up? I always say hi. I get response sometimes. I don't get response. Doesn't matter. That's my way to be. Hi, how you doing? That's it. Sit down in my corner, waiting my turn. But I never give this, I know what I look like. But I never give that. Hey, that's something I'm really happy about. Because
What's the most fun you had on the set?
Fun on the set?
Yeah. You have any fun stories, or is it just work to you now?
No, I mean, the fun I had on the set is to make friends,
Oh yeah.
people that you meet and you encounter, they, nice, and you get to do other job also. I did a lot of work that way when I did some jobs, and I meet people, and then because you had a good relationship with them, they recommend you, and
Yeah.
other people calls you and say, hey, you work with so and so, we heard a good thing about you, would you be interested to do this job? So I get a lot of work also with not auditioning.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I get people that call me straight up and say, hey, we're shooting next week, would you like to do this part? Very nice. Like I'm very fortunate. I have nothing to complain about. I really have just
That's pretty cool. You
Yeah.
come out here with nothing and you make it.
Yeah.
Do you have you ever met somebody on set who's well known and they were just total jerk to you?
Yeah. I did.
But did you ever have them be like a total jerk to you and kind of disappoint you?
The thing is, listen, it's something also I learned about judging a book by its cover, even for a few seconds. When you meet somebody, everybody had good days and bad days.
Sure.
You don't know what the person going through right now,
Sure.
what is going on in their life. So if they're not so nice with you, well, take it. But have a limit to take it. That's always do.
Sure.
So I have met, celebrity and people I work with. They were great. And some of them were not so. But
Who were the good ones then? Because it sounds like you don't want to talk about the bad ones, right? You
no,
don't wanna,
no,
you don't wanna
actually,
throw them under the
like
bus.
I said, to me they were all good because you don't know what they're going through, and
So who are some of your more favorite ones that you've worked with?
favorite ones.
Like, say this guy, like, oh man, he was
I
great.
have-
He
I
was a
have-
lot of fun.
I have worked with Jim Carrey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I was on a film. It was Yes Man.
Oh yeah.
Yes, it was long ago. I had a little thing in there. Nothing much, but
But he was good?
Yeah, he was. He's a character. I mean, he's a character.
Yeah.
That's why he's good at what he does, because he is the representation of all these characters.
So it's easy.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
That's him. And that's what I realized about acting also. It's you do what you are, and you can extend that also, but most likely, people do most action movie and they do action only. Jim Carrey do most everything, and he has a great range of different character. And those days, so many great actors.
Yeah.
So many, and living here, I didn't work with. I met Leonardo DiCaprio. I got a chance to meet Tom Cruise in the events. It was, high, nothing, but it's they really represent what they are, because I realize sometimes you see somebody in TV, and then when you see them in person, it's something, they're not the same. I feel like it's a disconnection.
Right.
But when I met Jim Carrey or Leonardo DiCaprio, you really see them what you see on TV.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I do.
It was very interesting experience, and like I said, everybody was nice. It's just life is also knowing your place. Even if you're on the top of the food chain or on the bottom, know your place. So if you're a king, be a good king. If you're a slave, be a good slave. And that's it. I think that's the fundamental thing of I also do, I went through to philosophy, read about Aristotle, Plato, all those guys. And those guys, they were making themselves uncomfortable intentionally so they can be more appreciative of what they have. Is that interesting?
You ever listen to David Goggins?
No, never heard of it.
Oh, really?
Never
Okay.
heard of it, no.
He's this former military guy who does like the most uncomfortable things possible intentionally, and creating a new normal and stuff like that. You should check him out because it sounds a lot like what you're talking about.
Maybe not that extreme. Like, for example, what I do personally is once in a while I sleep on the floor. Even if I have a nice bed and comfy bed, I sleep on the floor. And when I sleep on the floor, I have compassion. I think about everybody that sleep on the floor and don't have the resource to have a bed, to be comfortable.
Were you ever in that position as a child?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Many times. Like even eating wise, growing up, I used to eat once a day. That's it. Once a day. But
That's so sad.
But it wasn't bad though. You see, now at that time I was like, I have this, I'm hungry, I want to eat. But now I still do. I still eat once a day. I even when I was competing, I was forcing myself to eat more to gain more mass. But I went back to my roots, and I still eat once a day or eat a little bit here. I realize food is not so important as we think it is to function, because you have other thing that supports you. That's a higher understanding. Food is another subject, but yeah.
I was gonna say, man, I don't know what you're talking about.
Nah.
I gotta eat every 2.5 hours, otherwise I turn into
That's
a
what I was
monster.
doing when I was competing. Every 3 hours, I had my tilapia, sweet potatoes, this and that. I had my whole cycle things.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. Do you know what body fat percentage you got down to for the competition?
I was 4% fat.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's low.
I was.
Were you feeling like you were starving, or?
Again, interesting thing that happened is being training for like those 5 months. Great. The night before competing, I woke up in the middle of the night at 3 a.m. completely sick.
Oh no.
Nose congested, throat hurting.
Oh no.
Like the whole thing. And I said to myself, have this. I'm doing it. And I went back to bed, And when I wake up, I felt almost nothing.
Wow.
Interesting. I compete. I did the whole thing. At the end of the day, the show was at night, so I went back home probably around 8 p.m., something like that. 9:30, the whole cold, the whole thing came back.
Really?
Yeah.
So you just
I
had
felt
like
like
a
shit.
just like a delay for a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah. I feel like a mind of a matter. It's really powerful. If you decide
Wow.
something, your body will follow it. I mean, I experienced it myself, so I can just talk about it. It's not an idea or a concept or imaginary. I did, yeah, it really happened.
I noticed you lift when you do legs. You don't use shoes.
Yes, that's right.
That's what I noticed in the gym that day.
I learned that from guys that I was watching at the gym also that had better legs.
Okay.
And I was seeing them, and I realized it was harder too. So again, go back to my understanding and how I am. The hardest thing is the best for me. I always choose the hard. So I see a bunch of guys doing legs with no shoes, calves with no shoes, and they look good too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm gonna do my legs now with no shoes, and this way also. So my legs, they become my favorite part of my body.
Oh wow.
So I
All
get
from no shoes.
good legs. Yeah. So it's all by watching, watching people, like
Yeah.
the way people train also. At Gold Gym, like you said, nobody care about anybody. Everybody doing his own thing.
Right. Everybody's
And
focused.
It's fantastic. And everybody look fantastic too.
That's true. It motivates you. It's like,
That's why I
wow,
go-
'cause no matter
yeah,
how
yeah.
good you get, you go to Gold's Venice, you're
Gold's
going to see
Venice,
people
yeah.
who are better, And that's something to
It's
motivate
something
you,
about
aspire to keep
it's
keep
something
going.
about this gym. Is an energy there.
There's
Because
an
when I go
energy.
there, I feel that energy. I get more I get more pumped out for some reason. Maybe
Yeah.
it's because of all the pictures of everybody that have been competing all these years, and men and women, they look fantastic. It's very inspirational. Inspirational very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what you told me that day when I saw you over there. I was like, do you live around here? He said, no, man, I live in Hollywood. I usually work out over there, but I decided to come down here
Yeah.
today. I come down every once in a while because there's just a different energy
That's
in this
right.
building.
That's right.
There's
That's right.
100% a different energy
Yeah.
in that building. But what are the odds that that was the day that you would have chose to go down to Venice
But
when,
like I said,
when I happen to
the
be
odd,
there?
the odd. If you put all the odd next to each other, you realize it's no coincidence. It's not
Yeah.
possible.
Yeah.
The odd would be, no. So everything happened for a reason, and that day we met and we saw each other at that gym. It was to lead here, and this will lead to something else, and life goes on like that. We connect with each other.
Yeah.
But we connect also because you search something I search. You want something I want. You stop fucking around. You decided to do the walk to walk and the talk to talk, and not just do half and half. And that's why we connect. That's why I'm here, honestly. Because if I didn't feel you that way, I will say, maybe not. I'm gonna stay home. But you
I'm
carry.
busy, man. I got something else to do that day.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But you carry that with you. You genuine. You sincere. You have good quality in you, man.
I appreciate that.
Like I said, we don't know much about each other, but when you tap into the feminine energy, it unveil things that you cannot sense before with your male energy.
Female intuition.
Yeah. I think it's beyond the intuition.
Yeah.
It's really like I said, a language, a different way of communicating, and a very powerful one.
Well, I don't think that this could have been more interesting, you coming on here and hearing your story. A lot of twists and turns there, a lot of stuff I wouldn't have expected.
But if you think about life, if you think about your life, I'm sure if you really go in detail, you will have same turn and all this. I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Definitely not a straight line.
Yeah.
But, I really appreciate you being willing to share a lot of this stuff with people. Because number one, I'm sure it's not easy to think about and not fun to think about. Number two, some people just want to keep private with the stuff, but I think that when other people hear your story, it'll inspire them.
I hope so. I hope so, because we are on the same boat, That's really true. What's happening though in that boat is some of us are sitting down in the boat and they're drilling under the boat a hole. And they don't realize that the boat that they're in, everybody is in. So someone will come to them and say, what are you doing? And is the person not even realizing that they were doing what they're doing? So, in other words, if you're confused and lost, you're in the right path, because that will lead you to understand yourself and know what you're here for, and build your foundation of who you are with God. God is the foundation. You know him, you know that self. And again, I experienced that myself. So we can only speak of what we know, what we have experienced.
Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be here today. This was a lot
Thank
of
you,
fun.
man.
I hope
Thank
we
you.
get to have the opportunity to do it again sometime.
I would love to. I would love to, and also make another one about women, specifically about women. I think they need some push by. They need some male energy. We can share and help them. I think we can do that. We can do that.
We'll have to definitely talk about that. And maybe one day, I don't know if this is going to be opposite of your woman idea, but I was going to say we should do one in the cigar shop. Have Caden come on down and do an interview in the cigar shop. We do that back home.
That'd be great.
In Pennsylvania, we've been doing cigar shop episodes where we sit there.
I think Naz would be okay. I think you should
He'd be a good guest, man. We could get Naz on the show.
Naz is so knowledgeable.
Yeah, but he flies under the radar. He doesn't like attention.
Yeah.
Even though he's one of the most successful people I've ever met.
It's because he's been around everyone. He been around. He told me, so many stories about the people he have met from A to Z. He met everybody.
I mean, when Stallone and Schwarzenegger have a box in your establishment, and he's the first guy in the country to ever do it, from what I understand.
Also,
They laughed at him when he said he was opening a cigar lounge. Because back then, think about it, people smoked everywhere. Right? People smoked in airplanes for crying out loud.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So then he was opening this place. Why is somebody going to go somewhere just to smoke? You smoke. You go wherever you want and you smoke. And
I think he understood.
Ahead of his time.
Yes, it's exactly what it is. He understood that it's more to smoke. Is the social, is who you attract in an environment, a small environment, and then people comes and you connect with them. So it's something beyond the cigar itself.
Sure.
And that's what I see, is how you socialize, who you meet, the good people you meet. Yeah.
And I guess if back then you're smoking wherever and you're doing other things, that kind of takes away from the experience, like you said.
Yeah.
When you're in a lounge, you're forced to sit down, relax.
That's right.
Hang out.
That's right.
Chew the fat with your buddies.
And relaxing as much as we want to relax and we say we relax is a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah. No, it is.
Very difficult thing to do.
For sure. But that kind of forces you to do it. And you know what? You could go to a cigar lounge pretty much anywhere and you sit down with a group of guys.
Yeah.
It's a very similar group of guys, right?
True.
And you can make friends real quick and everybody has a good time. But
what I like about Naz cigar place, he's knowledgeable. He really knows what he's talking about. He knows. I love hearing him talking about cigars, about this cigar, that cigar, why this, why that. And it makes sense. Everything he said makes sense also. So I really enjoy his
He's been
knowledge.
doing it for probably longer than we've been alive, right?
Yeah, I think he's been around for quite some time.
Yeah, he's the man. He's the man.
Absolutely.
People come from all over the place to go over.
Absolutely.
It's a very nice spot.
So if anybody want to smoke cigar and look for a place, he's located at 350 North Cannon Drive.
350 North Cannon.
That's
Google
right.
Naz.
Nazareth.
Yeah. And for It's an interesting dynamic in Beverly Hills with the cigar lounges because, from what I understand, there's only three, right? There's Naz, who's
Yep,
open
yep,
during the
yep,
day.
yep,
Then
yep.
there's another place that's open at night.
Yeah,
And there's another place that's private.
that's right.
So they really don't compete with the same customer
No,
base for
yeah.
the most part.
And Nazi is friend with everyone.
Yeah.
Nazi, they come to him
Sure.
to ask him for advice. They
Sure.
come to him to order cigars. He's the father of
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole thing.
He's the man.
He tells me,
He's
and
the
and
man.
and they good friends also. It's not like it's no competition. Now they come hang out with him. He goes say hi. He doesn't go there hang out, but he stop by say hi. So the relationship is fantastic also. You know.
Yeah. And for our listeners, you'll be interested to hear that Giuliani actually did an interview over at Naz's place one time.
She did?
And,
Oh.
yeah. So Giuliani went over there, and it was completely unannounced from what Naz tells me. They just walked in and asked if they could set up shop, and
And that was it.
that was it. And then Rudy got a picture with Naz, and they posted it up there and everything. Well, Vince, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do this again sometime.
Yeah,
Appreciate you joining us. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. We miss you, Ellie. Daddy loves you.